Hi, this is Holly from the Sweet Simple Things, and welcome to my channel where we make healthy and nourishing recipes the whole family will love. Make sure you hit subscribe to see all the latest recipes. Today I'm going to show you how I make my 1 hour pizza dough with fresh milled flour. So, bread products can be hard, especially with fresh milled flour. It can be hard to get anything done within an hour, but this is my favorite pizza dough recipe specifically because when my kids are begging me to order Domino's at 4 p.m., I say, I can make you Domino's at home. They don't think it's the same, but I think it's great. Anyway, it doesn't take long at all. It's pretty easy. You just mill your flour. We're going to add our water, some olive oil, and some honey. And then we're going to mix this together and let it sit for just about 15 minutes to get a jump start on the gluten development and allowing the hydration to fully absorb into the flour. I'm using hard red wheat for this, but I use hard white a lot too, just for the lighter color and kind of a lighter texture, but we like both. So we just use any sort of hard wheat, whichever one you prefer is fine. After getting it mixed together, I'm just going to cover this and let it sit for 15 minutes before we add the yeast and salt. I highly recommend instant yeast for this. I just think it works so much better with whole wheat recipes, especially quick ones like this one when we want to get pizza on the table within an hour. Okay, so my dough is rested. I'm adding a little packet's worth, 2¼ teaspoons of the instant yeast, plus a teaspoon of salt. And then I'm going to use my dough hook to work that into the dough, and then we'll knead this for 5 to 10 minutes until you get a nice smooth ball. I don't worry about having a perfect window pane because, we're making pizza crust. We're rolling this flat. It doesn't need to hold a huge structure like a loaf bread does, but I do still like it to be really well kneaded for the best texture possible when you're eating it. So just knead it until you're happy with it. I go, like I said, 5 to 10 minutes on speed 2 on my mixer. Now we're going to let this do one more rest, about 10-15 minutes, but you can let this rise, do a full double rise if you want. There's no reason why you can't do that, but you don't have to. The great thing about pizza dough is we can save some of that rise for the baking time, so I just do a 10-minute rest, especially when I'm trying to work quickly. While it's resting, heat up your oven to 450, and you can bake this in a cast iron skillet like I'm going to show here. You can also do it on just like a baking sheet. That's actually how my kids prefer it, but I'm doing the cast iron today, and I like to put a little oil down and just spread it out and get it really well oiled. For baking sheet, I use a piece of parchment underneath because dough can stick to these things sometimes. So you do want to make sure that you either oil it or use parchment paper. Next, I'm going to roll this out. So as you can see, it hasn't really grown in size, but that's okay. I'm going to throw it down on my counter here, and I actually like to roll out my pizza dough with my hands. I don't use a rolling pin because the gluten can get kind of tight and fight you when you use rolling pins. So I just find that it works a little better to stretch it with your hands and then even pick up the dough and kind of let it fall and stretch itself. You'll see what I do here. And with all this stretching, I actually made mine a little too big for the cast iron. I'll go ahead and fit it in there anyway. And I'll actually end up cutting out some of the crust because it's just a little too much for that size pan. This would actually probably be best on a baking sheet. I use cast iron actually. I use my smaller one a lot when I cut this dough in half and make smaller pizzas, because I'll make like a cheese one for the kids, and then I'll do one with like meats and other toppings in a cast iron for my husband and I. A lot of times I also use it to make like personal pans. So it's very versatile. You don't have to use this dough to just make one large pizza. You can make personal pans, whatever. But anyway, I cut off some of the extra dough. I'm going to show you what I do with extra dough that my kids really love in a minute here. But I'm using some of my mom's homemade pizza sauce here. It has peppers and onions in it. You can kind of see that in there. I'm trying to hide those from the kids because I don't know if they would appreciate knowing that they're there, but you know, anyway, it tasted really good, but my kids are, well, typical children. So anyway, spreading that out, and then I'm making this, like I said, for my kids for lunch that day. So this is just some home shredded mozzarella. Shred your own cheese. It is so worth it. It doesn't take as long as people think it might. I like a rotary grater, but if you have like the shredder attachment for your KitchenAid or a food processor, or even just a box grater, it takes a minute to just make this fresh cheese, and it'll melt so much better and taste way better too. It won't have any of the coatings that store-bought shredded cheese has on it to keep it from clumping, so it's just better. Bake it at 450 degrees for about 12 minutes. This is the extra dough, and my kids, I talked about Domino's earlier, they're obsessed with those Parmesan bites. So homemade Parmesan bites, just cut up little pieces of pizza dough, and then these bake at 450 as well, and I just do 5 minutes for the little bites. I'm gonna melt some butter. So again, making these into Parmesan bites, we'll melt a little butter. We're gonna add a little bit of garlic powder, Italian seasoning, and then we'll top it with like the powdered Parmesan cheese. And they're a really fun side with the pizza. My middle child especially, just anytime we make pizza, he asks if I can make the Parmesan bites. And I also do it. They love the Cinna Twists at Domino's too. So I'll take the pizza dough and I'll either make like the Parmesan bites, but instead of doing like the garlic butter, I'll do a cinnamon sugar butter, or I'll actually take the leftover dough and make little twists, you know, just something fun to show kids. We don't have to order pizza every time we want all that fun stuff. We can make it at home with healthy ingredients, whole wheat, and seriously, they're very light and fluffy. If you make these bites like I'm showing you here, don't overbake them. 5 minutes is plenty. A little bit of brown is okay, but you don't want them to be overly browned or they'll be hard on the outside. You want to keep these soft and chewy and fluffy. So anyway, I am going to top them with some cheese now, and that's that. So that's a fun little appetizer. That's not what I set out to make, but I had extra dough like I showed you, so don't waste the dough. Make some Parmesan bites. Okay, pizza is done. I'm going to pull it out. You can see how it looks there. It looks amazing. That big puffy crust, the perfectly melted cheese. We'll go ahead and take it out of the cast iron skillet, and then we're going to just slice it up and get ready to feed the kids. So this is, like I said, this is a winner because it is a 60-minute pizza dough. You can have your pizza ready to go within an hour, and that is just so nice on busy days. And it's really, you know, not too much work to get a delicious, healthy pizza on the table. So I hope you guys give this a try. Let me know if you have any questions. The link to the recipe is in the description. Hope you enjoy.